Okay, welcome back. So if you've ever taken my other two Construct 2 courses before, then you are going to be very familiar with this shooting system. I wanted to have projectiles in this game because I think they're very fun. I love implementing them, and this system will be different from my action platformer and my top-down shooter, and it's going to be really cool. So here's what we're going to do. In this lecture, we're going to make a bunch of variables that we need to have. The first one being our num ammo, and we're going to set that to about 100 just to give us some bullets to start out with. The next thing we're going to make is we're going to make our reload time, and we're going to have that be 0. We're going to make another global variable for our bullet type, which if you have taken these courses before, you know exactly what these are going to do. And we're going to have our bullet rate. And we're going to set our bullet rate to 0.1. And the final one that we're going to make is our is shooting. And we're going to have our is shooting variable equals 0. Okay, cool. So those are going to be our variables for our projectile. And what we want to do is we want to make our new group. And we want to say group projectile attack. There we go. All right. So here's what we want to do with our projectile attack. We want to start it off like this. Let's make a sub event in the group. And let's say if system num ammo is equal to, or no, not equal to, is greater than 0, then we can shoot. And let's hold down control and let go. And let's flip it. So if it's less than or equal to, so the greater than is going to trigger all of our shooting events, and the less than or equal to is going to say, okay, you're cut off. You have no more ammo. Okay, here's what we're going to do for the shooting. So if you've done this before, this will look familiar. If num ammo is greater than 0, then we're going to go to system, set the value of is shooting to 0, just like that. And if it's not, we're going to set it to 1. So let's just control click and set this to 1. Fairly straightforward. Now let's hit B to make a sub event for if we are shooting and if is shooting is 0. And this is going to be where we hook in our up arrow to our hotbar. So let's double click on our sub event and let's go to our keyboard and let's say on key pressed, up arrow, and hit OK. Now we want some other checks here because now what's happening is the selector is on the hotbar 2, and we want this to make sure that we are on hotbar 2 and that our player is not idle. So that's important because we want it to be moving when we're actually shooting. So to do this, we're just going to hit C and we're going to add those two checks. The first one is a system compare variable if hotbar move equals 2. And then the other thing we're going to add is if compare variable player direction is equal to idle, and then we're going to invert it. So right click, invert. There we go. So that's what we want to have happen. So if we have bullets, then set is shooting to 0, and then if up arrow is pressed and hotbar equals 2, and we're moving, so and we have WAS or D held down, then we can actually shoot. And let's make the sub event. And now this is going to look familiar. So we're going to double click on this sub event and we're going to say, again, if is shooting is equal to 0. And then we're going to hit C and we're going to say if reload time is equal to 0. Then we're going to make some function calls. So the first function we're going to call is our bullet type function. And obviously you can make other different types of bullets if you want to. We're going to call our bullet type function. Then we're going to add 1 to our reload time so it's rendered invalid. And then we're going to make one more function call to our bullet timer. Let's call this. And obviously these do not exist yet, so we're going to need to create them. So let's do it. Let's go add new event, function, double click on function, bullet type, and let's make our bullet timer. So function on function, bullet timer. We'll be filling out these in the next lecture.